Om Namah Shivaya to all my disciples, to more than 2.5 crore Hindutva Abhiyan sadhaks, Dikshit disciples, senior disciples, and everyone who is listening to this profound nugget of wisdom on Rigved, the physics of infiniteness. Today, all of you have asked me a very, very profound question. Guruji, what is Rigved? Because when we read Rigved, we find a dichotomy. We are told that all knowledge exists in the Vedas. But when we read Rigved, it seems that it is praising Agni, it is praising Vayu, it is praising Varuna, Indra, and just asking them to join the Yajna. So, how come it is the reservoir of all knowledge that is there? So, let me today explain the true meaning of Rigved once for all. Today, let me explain to all of you what Rigved actually means. Rigved is the spirituality of everything and nothing. Rigved is the physics of everything and nothing. Rigved is the mathematics of everything and nothing. Rigved अनंत व शून्य का अध्यात्म है. ऋग्वेद अनंत व शून्य का भौतिक विज्ञान है. ऋग्वेद अनंत एवं शून्य का गणित है. अनंत तत्वम शून्य तत्वम इति समत्वम. Rigved has been manifested on the profound foundation of Samatvam. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, the famous Tatva of Hindu Dharma. Samatvam means where two Tatva, polar opposite, become one and the same. Ananta means infinite, everything. Shunya means zero, nothing. And when infinite stretches to its limit, it gives birth to zero. When zero stretches itself to its limit, infinite is born. That limit, that supreme limit is Rigved. That supreme limit is Samatvam. How? Come, let us understand. I will take all of you on the most fascinating journey you have ever been on. Rigved, the physics of infiniteness. Now, when Guruji says Rigved is the physics of everything and nothing, when Guruji says Rigved is the spirituality of everything and nothing, when Guruji says Rigved is mathematics of everything and nothing, how do you logically on a day-to-day basis understand this? For that, let us first at a very basic level understand the broad level applied meaning of all the four Vedas. Rigved. Rigved essentially tells you what sadhana to do. It also explains the elementary nature of the sadhana to be done. Rigved tells you which enterprise to build, and Rigved explains you the elementary physics of the enterprise that needs to be built. Yajurved gives you the sadhana padati, methodology of doing the sadhana, methodology of building that enterprise that needs to be built. Yajurved gives us the practical guidance, tutorial, technological know-how, methodologies to build the required instruments, the blueprint, the architecture that are required to successfully build the above enterprise as defined by Rigved. Now we come to Samved. Now what is Samved? Samved is Urja MahaSadhana. Samved teaches you how to optimize, how to scale up, and how to transform your sadhana with time. Please, throughout today's satsang, remember these two words: scaling up and transform. Scaling up and transform. These are the true concepts that will hit you again and again, especially when today Guruji explains to you from the perspective of Rigved how actually this universe was created. So scaling as time passes, how you scale up and how you optimize, how you transform, scaling, transform, scaling, transform. So Samved is Urja Mahasadhana. It gives you the methodologies required to invoke and master the energy of the enterprise as the energy scales up and the energy transforms. Samved gives you, Urja Mahasadhana gives you the methodologies required to invoke and master the energy of the enterprise as the energy scales up, as the energy transforms. Then comes Atharva Ved. Atharva Ved makes your sadhana sustainable, because Atharva Ved tells you how to deploy, how to invest the fruits, the outcome of your sadhana for the selfless welfare of the disenfranchised and the backward sections of human society. Because if you don't give, you will never get. If you don't continuously pass on, share your empowerment with the deserving, with the righteous who are disenfranchised and backward, then you yourself will lose the energy, you yourself will lose the resources, you yourself will lose the blessings. So Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, Atharva Ved gives you the holistic perspective to lead life, to do sadhana, and to build enterprises. With that as a context, now let us do a deep dive of every single nitty-gritty of Rigved. The first question everyone asks, you both have asked, a lot of our disciples have asked, Guruji, when we actually read the Rigved, what we are reading is that it is like the Rishis are praising Indra, Agni, Vayu, and requesting them to come and partake the fruits of a yajna. Now, how is it to do with anything regarding day-to-day knowledge, physics, mathematics, enterprise creation? We don't even relate to what is being said, because we have not seen Indra. We have not seen a yajna invoking Vayu doing any tangible work, producing any tangible result. So how do we relate with Rigved? So for that, all of you first need to understand the concept of yajna. So let us understand the profound concept that is yajna. Okay. Now, yajna essentially means the methodology to harness the power of laws of physics. Yajna essentially is the methodology to harness the power of various laws of physics. Yajna simply doesn't mean that you build a yajna kund, light up fire, and you start pouring samidha after samidha, and that will do some miracle. No. That is just to create the right energy for you to start building the actual enterprise. But you all have to understand that yajna essentially is the methodology to harness the power of various laws of physics and then build enterprises based on it. Let me give you some practical example, because anything that cannot be explained through example is meaningless. So Rigved begins by invoking Agni. Now, here itself people get confused. They think that Agni is being referred to maybe as a god or deity, and the rishis are requesting Agni that, oh Agni Dev, you are great for this reason, for this reason, for this reason. Please come to Yajna and please partake Somras. No. Please understand, Rigved is written in metaphors. You have to understand the metaphor. You have to unlock the riddle. You have to solve the puzzle to understand Rigved. Let me give you an example. The very first shlok, the very first richa of Rigved invokes Agni. But what is the meaning of invoking Agni? Rigved tells you that you need to harness the power of thermodynamics. As I told you, Rigved tells you which sadhana needs to be accomplished. Yajurved tells you how to do it. Samved tells you how to scale it up and transform. And Atharved tells you how to deploy, invest the fruits of that sadhana for the welfare of the righteous. So, what is Rigved telling you? That the first element that you need to harness is Agni. Tell me one thing. How did human civilization begin? By the discovery of the power of fire. Am I correct? Everything started with discovering how to harness the power of fire. In fact, our brains grew. We know this now anthropologically, that the development of human brain began only when we learned how to cook our food. When our ancestors used to eat raw meat, the jaws needed lot of power to chew it. And for that reason, our jaws used to be very strong, but our brain, the neural region, had to suffer because the jaws took larger space. So there was little space for the growth of brain. Only when our ancestors discovered the power of fire, how to cook food, they started needing less energy to chew food. Through evolution, our jaws started occupying lesser space, which allowed our brain to grow. So the very evolution of Homo sapiens started with harnessing the power of fire. And that is what Rigved is exactly saying. See how ancient our Vedas are. Please understand, the very fact that the very first richa of Rigved is talking about harnessing the power of fire tells you that it was written for that era of hominids who had just learned the importance of cooking your food so that your jaws don't take up that much energy, strength, so that your brains can evolve. Imagine that ancient Rigved is. And we all know this metamorphosis started happening only 200,000 years back. That is the very bare minimum how ancient Rigved is. So, Rigved dedicates 206 richas to explain to us the importance of Agni, the importance of fire. It begins with instructing us that your civilizational evolution as Homo sapiens will begin only the day you start harnessing the power of fire, the power of thermodynamics. And slowly, our entire human civilization evolved based on how more we were able to harness the power of Agni. Tell me one thing. What was the next leap of human civilization from an evolutionary perspective? When we started to cook our food from hunter-gatherers, we became the master of agriculture. Fire was very central to it. Then how did the various metal ages came into being? Iron Age, Copper Age, Bronze Age, through the power of fire. Without the power of fire, could we have ever entered Iron Age, Copper Age, Bronze Age, or any other age? Even today, as recent as 18th century, we took a significant, gigantic leap in terms of evolution of global civilization. Why? Because we discovered the power of steam engine. That is again, you discovering the one more advanced dimension of the power of fire. Then the next leap came when we entered the electrical age. But again, see, whether you are operating a steam engine or you are using electrical engine or you are using nuclear reactor, at the end of the day, what are you doing? You are heating up water to produce steam to run your turbines. The methodology changes, but the laws of thermodynamics remain central to everything. That is what Rigved is telling us, that the more advanced methodologies of harnessing the power of thermodynamics you discover, the faster and higher will be your evolution as a species. That is the power of thermodynamics. We all know the three fundamental laws of thermodynamics. The first law is conservation of energy. Energy in a closed system can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only transform itself from one form to another. Second law of thermodynamics states that the disorder in the universe always increases. Thus, the efficiency of any process will always be less than 100%. And the third law of thermodynamics tells us that all molecular movement stops at temperature we call absolute zero in a perfect crystal. So at this temperature, a perfect crystal has no disorder. That is exactly what Rigved is asking you to discover and harness. Please understand, Rigved tells you what to discover and what to harness. That is the purpose of Rigved. Yajurved tells you how to discover the same thing and how to harness the same thing. Samved tells you how to scale that thing, how to transform that thing. Atharva Ved tells you how to deploy that thing. The moment we understand how to look at the existence through the framework of these four Vedas, all secrets of universe reveal themselves to us. For example, when you go to watch a 3D movie, even if you are not wearing a 3D goggle, you will still be able to see the movie, but it will lose its effect on you. Similarly, you all think that you see the universe, but when you observe the universe through the 4D goggle of the four Vedas, Rigved, Yajurved, Samved, Atharved, you will truly understand the physics of infiniteness. That is this infinite verse. Till this point, we have understood that Rigved tells us which energy to harness. Correct? Yajurved tells us how to harness it. Samved tells us once you have harnessed, how do you scale up its energy? How do you transform its energy? And Atharved tells you how you deploy the fruits of the sun for the betterment, protection, safety, security, nurturing, holistic empowerment of the righteous. If you don't do it, you will lose the resourcefulness yourself. Now, let us come to the second Deva. Rigved tells us that once you have harnessed the energy of Agni, you have harnessed the power of thermodynamics. You have gained mastery over the matter by applying these three fundamental laws of thermodynamics. You then go and master Vayu. What is Vayu? Vayu is motion. So Rigved tells us to go ahead and harness the laws of motion. We all are aware of the three fundamental laws of motion. A body at rest will remain at rest, and a body in motion will remain in motion unless it is acted upon by an external force. Second law is the force acting on an object is equal to the mass of that object times its acceleration, or it's the derivative of its momentum, whichever way you want to look at it. And for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Now, when you harness the physics of motion, the laws of motion, the physics of aerodynamics, you learn to harness Vayu. Now, if you see, after the discovery of fire, the next most important discovery was the discovery of wheel. And we started exploring the world by taking to the oceans in wooden boats, which were guided by the oceanic winds. We have all seen those sailboats that our ancestors used. What used to push that boat? It was the sea wind. It was the oceanic wind. So we learned how to harness the laws of motion on land through wheel, on oceans by harnessing the power of oceanic wind, Vayu. And that gave us, as a civilization, the power of mobility. So the second Tatva that Rigved asks us to harness and master is Vayu. Then Rigved tells us, Shanno Varunaha. Go ahead and harness the prowess of ocean and river engineering. We all know that more resources are available in the ocean, beneath the ocean beds, than there are on land. Transport of goods is the cheapest through waterways, through oceanic routes, than any form of land transport, whether it is road or railways or air transport. Shanno Varunaha. Harness the prowess of ocean and rivers. Rivers gives us life. Rivers sustain agriculture. Rivers provide us with water to drink. And ocean provides us with monsoon cycles and with untold amount of resources, 90% of which, even in the year of 2022, we have not even tapped into. In fact, all of you should go and watch Guruji's 2 prophecies videos on our Hindutva Abhiyan YouTube channel, and you will see Guruji has prophesied that the more Bharat deploys offshore engineering, oceanic engineering, naval architecture, river engineering, river linkages, the more will be its rise as the oceanic mega power of the world for the good of humanity. So Rigved tells us, go and harness the prowess of ocean and river engineering. Shanno Varunaha. Then Rigved tells us to go and harness the power of thermonuclear fusion and photonics. Ashwini Kumars. Ashwini Kumars represent thermonuclear fusion and photonics. Ashwini Kumars are depicted as twin powers. The twin power of thermonuclear fusion and photonics, the twin laws of physics of spatial theory of relativity and general theory of relativity. Ashwini Kumars are also known to be the healers of the righteous, thereby representing the physics, the science of biotechnology, pharmaceutical engineering, and genetic engineering. And by extension, representing bioinformatics and multiomics. Then Rigved tells us to go and harness the prowess of quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is represented by Indra, the supreme and the most important instruction of Rigved. Rigved dedicates 289 richas, the most number of richas, to quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics is the most important aspect of physics that needs to be harnessed, that needs to be mastered, so that we harness the maximum power of subatomic particles. That is what Rigved instructs us. Then Rigved instructs us to invoke Ribhus. Ribhus represent entrepreneurship, development, and innovation, hard work and industriousness, positivity and mental enlightenment, a never die attitude. So Rigved asks us to discover and harness entrepreneurship, development, and innovation within us and everywhere else for the betterment, holistic empowerment, holistic enlightenment, self-actualization of all the righteous forces on planet Earth. Then Rigved asks us to harness the power of sun. We till date have just scratched the surface. We are just trying to harness the power of solar energy, but there is so much more to it. We can harness infinite energy from space and project it on planet Earth as electromagnetic waves to harness solar power from the space ad infinitum, in continuum. We have not even begun to harness the prowess of photonics, which is going to take quantum computing, high performance computing, artificial computational intelligence to its next stratosphere. So there is so much more to discover and harness vis-a-vis the prowess of sun. Then Rigved asks us to harness the complete prowess, optimum prowess, the infinite prowess of the interconvertibility of energy into matter and matter into energy, E equal to mc square, denoted by, represented by Yama. Yama represents this interconvertibility of matter into energy, energy into matter, which erroneously is thought to be death. No, Yama is not god of death. Yama is god of transformation, interconvertibility of energy into matter and matter into energy, E equal to mc square. Then simultaneously, Rigved tells us to harness the divine prowess of Ma Saraswati. Ma Saraswati signifies consciousness, cosmic consciousness, wisdom, applied knowledge, and computational science, harnessing the power of computational neuroscience, human brain, and artificial intelligence. Then Rigved instructs us to harness the life force within us, Soma. Soma denotes and represents life force, harnessing the power of inner energy and life force within us is instructed by Rigved, and for that Hindu Dharma has given to the world Ashtanga Yoga. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. By practicing to be equi-minded, by practicing Navacharana Gayatri MahaSadhana, we harness the life force within us. I will request all my disciples to please go to Hindutva Abhiyan YouTube channel, go to its playlist, Navacharana Gayatri MahaSadhana, and start learning Navacharana Gayatri Sadhana from Guruji, start practicing Navacharana Gayatri Sadhana from Guruji to harness the life force, Somaras, within you. And this is the entire essence of Rigved. The entire Rigved talks about harnessing the life force of Agni, harnessing the life force of thermodynamics, harnessing the life force of Vayu, harnessing the life force of motion, harnessing the life force of Varuna, harnessing the life force of ocean and river engineering, harnessing the life force of Indra, harnessing the life force of quantum mechanics, harnessing the life force of Ashwini Kumar, that is harnessing the life force of thermonuclear fusion and photonics, harnessing the life force of special theory of relativity and general theory of relativity, harnessing the life force of biotechnology and genetic engineering and nanotechnology, harnessing the life force of bioinformatics and multiomics. Rigveda asks us to harness the life force of Saraswati, that is the life force of cosmic consciousness, wisdom, knowledge, computational neuroscience, human brain, artificial intelligence. Rigveda asks us to harness the life force of Ribhus, the life force of entrepreneurship, development, and innovation. Rigveda asks us to harness the life force of Yama, the interconvertibility of energy into matter and matter into energy equal to mc square. Rigveda instructs us to harness the life force of Surya, Bhagwan Surya, solar energy. And how do you harness this life force? Within yourself. When harnessing the life force is the very essence of Rigveda, how do you harness the life force within yourself? Through Nava Charan Gayatri MahaSadhana. That is the supreme importance of Navcharan Gayatri Sadhana. It harnesses the life force within you. Rigveda teaches us, Har anu mein brahmand hai. Every atom contains the same complexity that of a universe. Har kankar mein shankar hai. Every matter matrix, every matter structure contains the life force of the divinity. Rigveda teaches us knowing oneself is knowing the infinite. You know yourself, you know everything. And the way of doing it is Nava Charan Gayatri Mahasadhana. That is the Rigvedic critical importance of Nava Charan Gayatri Mahasadhana. So, the core conclusion, the core spiritual guidance of Guruji at this critical juncture of understanding Rigveda is, please learn Navcharan Gayatri Mahasadhana. Please practice Navcharan Gayatri Mahasadhana twice a day to harness his most important life force, first within yourself. Then you will be able to do it with Agni, thermodynamics, Vayu, ocean, Varun, ocean and river engineering, Surya, solar energy, Yama, interconvertibility of energy and matter, matter and energy equal to mc square, Saraswati, computational neuroscience, wisdom, knowledge, cosmic consciousness, Ribhus, entrepreneurship, development and innovation, Ashwini Kumar, thermonuclear fusion and photonics, special theory of relativity and general theory of relativity, genetic engineering and biotechnology and nanotechnology, bioinformatics and multiomics. This entire spectrum you will be able to harness once you harness the life force within yourself through Nava Charana Gayatri Mahasadhana. That is the critical, most important Rigvedic importance of learning and doing Navcharan Gayatri Sadhana twice a day. Then, once through Navacharan Gayatri Mahasadhana, we invoke, we harness the life force within ourselves. We are in a position to then harness Om Bhu Bhuvaha Swaha. That is, we are in a position to harness the life force of Prithvi, Mother Earth, and the ocean it contains, the river bodies it contains, represented by Bhu. We are in a position to harness the prowess of space, Swaha, represented by Dos Pitra. And we are able to harness the life force of subatomic particles represented by Bhuvaha. Om, Hu, Bhuvaha, Swaha. This is how we harness the prowess of Om, Bhu, earth and ocean, Bhuvaha, subatomic particles, Swaha, space, through Navacharan Gayatri Mahasadhana. So this is the entire essence of which sadhanas to harness as per the divine guidance of Rigveda. Om Namah Shivaya.